Good morning and welcome to my cafe here in the Love British food tent, which is all really good fun. I'm Lucy. I am a freelance nutritionist. I used to be a vet, and so I basically love all things to do with British food and agriculture. And one of my roles is to be an ambassador for Love British Food, which I really enjoy doing. So today I am chatting all about why choosing seasonal British food, locally sourced where possible, is just really great for our health. And in particularly, I'm going to focus on gut health, and I've got all sorts of great food in front of me here, as you can see. So just before we get started then, this term gut health has become really quite a popular term, and I think it's just really important just to try and think about what it actually means in your intestine. All of us right now have billions of gut bacteria, and the type of food that we eat really determines how we nurture those gut bacteria, because they are really, really important in our health. And there's loads of good research now that's showing just how important they are. So I'm going to go on and tell you about all the brilliant things they do for us and the ways that we can eat using some great British food to nurture them. So one of the really fun things about it is there are literally billions of gut bacteria, and in fact there are more bacteria in our intestine than there are numbers of our own body cells. So we are actually more bacteria than we are human, which is top tip for today. I think that's always a fun fact. So what are the things that we can do then to really nurture those gut bacteria, and why do we want to do that? So they are important in our health in so many ways. Something that I think is great for right now, because of this situation that we're all in, is that they really help to support a really strong immune system. A lot of our immune system sits in the walls of our intestine, and so having lots of fantastic bacteria there really exercises that immune system and makes it as strong as it can be. They also, our bacteria actually produce a lot of compounds that are really useful for us. And one of the compounds that they produce actually helps to prevent allergies from forming. So if you've been on antibiotics for a long time, that's very important and very necessary, but it can actually knock out some of the good bacteria in our guts. And so by eating food that really nurtures our gut bacteria, helps them to produce these compounds. And what these compounds do is they actually glue the cells of the lining of our wall together. So if you imagine these, my two hands are the cells of the lining of our gut, to get them stuck together really tightly like that, and the scientific term actually is tight junctions between them. That requires a specific compound to do that, and that compound is produced by our gut bacteria. And if that doesn't happen, we get a sort of leaky gut like this, where we'll start absorbing things through our gut wall that we shouldn't do. And that's one of the reasons that allergies can begin, especially if they happen to begin after you've been on antibiotics for a while. Another thing that I think is fabulous is you've probably heard this term good mood food. So what that's referring to is when the type of food that we eat affects our mood and our feelings. And actually, again, that is through the effect that our food has on our gut bacteria, because they actually produce a compound which is needed for us to make our happiness hormone, serotonin. Anyway, these are all ways. I'm not going to go into loads of detail today, but I hope you're starting to get the picture that they're really important for our health. They've also been shown to be involved in our cholesterol levels, and also in keeping our weight, helping us to keep a steady weight. And actually, a really important one is that there is really good evidence linking a diet that's high in fibre, nurtures our gut bacteria, helps to protect us against certain cancers, particularly bowel cancer. So what kind of food should we be eating then? So basically fibre-rich food, I've got lots of examples in front of me here. Carrots, obviously in season at the moment, lovely British carrots, but the important thing is to keep the skin on. So if you're using vegetables, just, it's so quick and easy. That's what I love about this topic, is that it's actually time saving because you don't have to peel them. Potatoes, give them a quick scrub. Another fantastic British food full of vitamin C, in case anybody didn't realise. So fruit and veg, I've got some lovely watercress here that I'm going to show you how to make a delicious watercress smoothie in a minute. Fruit and veg, great source of fibre. Another great source of fibre, obviously, just whole grains. I've got some lovely oats here. And also other types of grains. So quinoa, really popular at the moment. And actually, for anybody that doesn't know, there's a fabulous, lots of farmers in Essex growing grains which previously we've mainly imported. I'm just going to show you this here. So anyone that hasn't seen what quinoa looks like, it's a tiny little grain, and we import a lot of it, but actually there are food producers in this country growing it, and I love that I buy this from 2 hours up the road in Essex. This is from Hobnadods, who you might all know about. So any types of whole grains, nuts and seeds, really great for fibre. The other thing that we can do to nurture our gut bacteria is actually eat the food that already has the bacteria in them. So that's basically fermented food. And there are loads of good products, and particularly thinking of dairy. So I've got our pint of milk here that the milkman delivered this morning. And just a quick word about milk. So this is whole milk. Whole milk is only maximum about 4% fat, unless you're buying a lovely Jersey creamy milk, but literally whole milk is only 4% fat, which often people don't realise. And the lovely thing about having whole milk is that you still get to have all those fat-soluble vitamins that are in it. So vitamin E, vitamin A, and there's a tiny bit of vitamin D in here as well, which is quite difficult to get in our food. Vitamin D mostly in oily fish, which is also great for your health. So getting back to fermented foods then, things like yogurt, with live yogurt with bacteria cultures in it, or one step beyond that is I've got here my own culture of kefir, which is a fermented milk drink. So you can buy this. There are several really great British companies making kefir now. If not, you can buy the kefir cultures, which are cultures of bacteria and yeast. It's thousands of years old. It's well known for its very health-giving properties. But anyway, kefir is a form of fermented milk. So I've made some, it's like Blue Peter, I made some earlier. I have some here, which is from our lovely milk. And that is fabulously, it's just absolutely overflowing with brilliant bacteria. And you can either drink it like yogurt, or you can put it into smoothies, or you can use it in your cooking if you're making omelettes, for example. Got lots of lovely eggs here. It's another way to include fermented food in your diet. Other types of fermented food, what else have we got? So there's a lovely drink called kombucha, which is a fermented tea. And then things like blue cheese, actually, some great cheese makers out there, and of course they all have lots of they all have lots of natural bacteria in them, which is fantastic. So that's just a few ideas. Then why seasonal? So when we buy food when it's seasonal, it is absolutely packed full of nutrients, and it tends to be cheaper as well, because it's so plentiful at that point. So a great reason for buying it. And so combining using seasonal food in your cooking helps your local community, of course, as well. But because it is most full of nutrients at that point, it gives the most health benefits as well. So I wanted to show you a fantastic way of increasing fibre in a smoothie, which hopefully the whole family will love. So I've made my smoothie earlier on today. This is a delicious watercress smoothie. Watercress just coming into season now. And most of it is grown down in Hampshire. This is it here. I'm going to put it a bit closer to the camera. For anyone, I'm sure everyone knows about watercress. I'm going to take a handful of watercress and pop it in here like this. And then a fantastic ingredient actually is for smoothies, which may come as a surprise, is good old British frozen peas. They're packed full of fibre. So about 60 grams of those in the go. And they just produce a lovely texture in a smoothie because they're frozen. You can just use them frozen, so really quick and easy. And they've also got some cucumber. I'm putting in 3 chunks of cucumber there. And then if pears are not in season, which they're not yet, just enjoy from a tin, really nice and simple. So still a way of being able to use British ingredients, but actually tin fruit I think is really, really valuable in our diet. It's quick and easy and you can always have it in the cupboard. And then you may want to add just a little bit of water, but not very much, because actually watercress is really full of water. And so you don't want to dilute out the flavour too much. And then maybe if you like it a little bit more creamy, just add some milk in there, or you can add maybe some kefir. It's another great way of getting that fermented food in, or just a plant milk if you'd prefer. And it's really just delicious. You get this really zingy flavour. You can always add a little bit of skim milk powder for some extra sweetness, or maybe some chopped dates, or a little bit of honey. But actually there's a lot of sweetness in the peas and the pears, and it's a great way of having a low sugar smoothie packed full of fibre. And by blitzing that amount of watercress down to 1 portion like that, you benefit from so many of its nutrients. So for example, there's a lot more vitamin C now in this 1 portion than there would be in 1 orange, because watercress is really high in vitamin C, and loads of antioxidants as well. So that's a little bit of advice on how to use watercress, but of course you can put it in soup, or you can just enjoy it in salads or whatever. And then another recipe, good old British scone, very traditional, and I'm feeling very decadent now because I've got my own little clotted cream and scone in front of me here that I'm going to enjoy. But I want you to see what these scones are like on the inside. So the recipe for this, again, it's on my website, Lucy Williamson Nutrition. But this scone is made with spelt flour, and it's also got some of the quinoa in it that I showed you earlier. And you can put flaked almonds in here. You can whiz up some walnuts or ground dates or something like that. These are also made with kefir instead of milk, and actually the acidity of the kefir helps them to really rise and become really big and fluffy. They're a good size. So you've got a lovely treat, but it's actually packed full of fibre. And so therefore, I don't feel bad at all about putting on the top a lovely bit of clotted cream. And we've all got to support those dairy farmers at the moment. And then this berry that I'm having with it is called sea buckthorn. Sea buckthorn berry, full of plenty of vitamins and minerals, and a lot of plant sterols actually, which can be really beneficial in keeping cholesterol level down. But also some fantastic omega oils, in particular omega-7, which is really unusual to find in food. Omega-7 has been shown to be particularly beneficial in helping with gastric ulcers, or if you're prone to maybe getting mouth ulcers, that sort of thing. But also, of course, all those omega oils helping to protect us long term against any problems with cardiovascular disease, but also just lovely, healthy, glowing skin, which is always a bonus. So I've got my lovely scone here that I made earlier. I've got my clotted cream, and actually put some nice jam on it. That would be delicious. Or just take a scoopful of whatever berries that you have. I happen to have some sea buckthorn berries in my freezer, and actually the British Sea Buckthorn Company have got a trade stand today in the food tent, so do go and visit them. And I look forward to getting all your questions. That is just some quick advice for you on how to use some of our favourite British foods. One thing before I go though, I did just want to give out some top tips of really practical ways to do this. So for example, if you're making a fish pie, I don't bother peeling potatoes when I make the mashed potato. I just cook them as they are, skin on, maximum fibre, and then just roughly chop them once you've cooked them. or you could even roast the potatoes and lightly sort of crush them and then lay that on top of your fish pie mix, and it makes a really delicious fish pie, but you've still got all that skin on the potatoes. Another thing you can do, for example, if you're just making a spaghetti bolognese for the family, a lovely way to get some red meat. And then I'll just add some lentils or some carrots into your bolognese mixture, a really nice way of getting some extra fibre in there. Other things like keep a big pot of coleslaw in the fridge. You've seen my scones. I've got more recipes on my website for baking using high fibre. But there are loads of ways, and please do just get in touch if you have any questions, and enjoy the rest of your day.